Hey, we're talking about barbecue and we're geeking out about it. Up next on Geek Out SA. Welcome back to Geek Out SA. It's Friday and we're having fun. And I'm here with a special friend of mine, Chef Johnny Stewart.
Yay!
From Texas Style Barbecue and Cuisine.
We're here. We're on. We're live.
There we go.
We're finally live.
They
we finally
can
got in
see
here.
you.
We had technical difficulties, but now we're good.
Shocker.
And now we're fine. And we're good to go. So we're geeking out about barbecue today.
I'm
so
excited.
We're gonna talk about barbecue.
I've been waiting to talk about food for a long time.
We've actually met at this SA YouTube Create meetups that we have every Wednesday at 7 p.m. And that's where I met you. And then we started looking at your stuff, and you're like, every time I see your videos, I get hungry.
You know, that's not always a good thing to do that. You know, oysters are good for the midsection, but we have fun.
So, Texas, tell me a little bit, because I know you do a lot of stuff on the grill and barbecue
we
stuff.
do.
So.
You know, if you're gonna do Texas cuisine, you know, there's gonna have to be some barbecue in there. There's gonna be some grilling in there that we're gonna be doing, but also down home cooking. And so we do a lot of different things. I do some cast iron cooking also, which I enjoy doing that. I love cooking out in the cast iron and the Dutch ovens. So, yeah, Texas food. And you got to realize Texas is such a diverse place. I mean, the foods are just, you know, they're going so many different directions. You know, you get over to East Texas, and you have that kind of down-home cooking that's there in East Texas. And then you know, head down toward, you know, San Antonio and the valley with the Mexican influence, and out to West Texas, and of course the Panhandle, and you know, the beef and the, you know, we got the beef, we got the pork. You know, a lot of people think Texas doesn't eat pork. I mean, it's like, that's a beef steak. You know, you're going, no, you're wrong.
No, Texans will eat anything that doesn't run off our plates, and sometimes we'll go catch it. So I'm just saying.
So you know, there's it's very diverse. And then of course you tie the wild game into that. You know, and then we have the coastal bend with all the seafood rolling in. So, you know, Texas style food can be a lot of different things.
Like, as enormous as our state is, people should know that we pretty much have everything available. And we've had like you said, every number of country here. We've had Spain and England and France and Germany. And so and Mexico, and we've had all of these different influences. So, and we just mix it all together. Like, we really do.
I mean, you know, Texas is a huge melting pot culturally, when you look at it culturally. There's so many different cultures here. So you know, the foods, and then of course those foods have kind of blended together over the years. And you know, our version, and I do a lot of Mexican food on there, and in our version of, we call it Tex-Mex. You know, here in San, you know, the San Antonio one, it's unique. It really is, and I think that's the heart of the Mexican food of Texas is really the San Antonio area, San Antonio style.
I would agree.
Yeah,
I would definitely agree.
So, we have a comment from Jaybird Videos. Says, love the shirt, Colleen.
Thanks, Jaybird.
Roundhouse Ranch says, barbecue.
That's it. Eric, glad you joined in there.
Yeah.
So I have a geeky barbecue question, right? Because one of the things that Vincent and I like to talk about on the show, because it's Geek Out, is you can really geek out over a lot of different things. There are barbecue competitions. There's different kinds of grills. There's the debate between, should you put a rub on it or should you marinate it? So that's my first geeky question. Is it rub or marinade? What do you think it is?
Well, you know, I think it's both.
Really?
A lot of times, so it depends on what you're doing. And it's just, I use some marinades on some things. If it's like fajitas, you know what I'm saying? I am going to marinate those for a while. And then I'm going to let them sit. It's going to help them tenderize. It's going to break them down some. But then I'm going to put a rub on them before they go on the grill.
Okay.
You know, so I don't think it's either or. It's which one or both.
Oh, okay.
Makes sense. So I don't think you have to do that either or. But to get flavor in, flavor definitely will penetrate with the marinade. And, you know, and nowadays so many people are injecting because you don't have that time that you have to wait for the marinade to work. You take a needle and shove it down in the meat, and it's
nice.
The flavors in there, and you're getting it penetration down in there that you don't have to. You don't have that marinade of
just
the
to
time,
let it sit.
Yeah.
But sometimes letting it sit helps to kind of break it down and tenderize it some too,
definitely,
right? Especially if you
definitely.
have some kind of acid, a vinegar, or a lime juice, something like that in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we see that a lot. You know, and you got to be careful of the kind of meat because too long can break it down too much. So you have to be careful with your marinades doing it that way.
So there's a big, other than that, going off the geeky stuff, there's a big science behind cuisine and cooking. And
yeah, you know, and I guess the science end of it hasn't always been something I've always got into. I've been more in the art end of it. But if I think the really science people are in baking. Because you know, cooking's an art, baking's a science. And so that's why I don't bake a whole lot. Although I do enjoy baking bread. I love to make bread, and I'm not a big bread eater.
Really?
But no, I'm really not. But I love to.
Something about that smell and just the way,
it's just fun. And when you have your dough rising and all the work you go through on dough, bread and all the different types of bread is a lot of fun. One thing I teach in my classes is we teach sourdough. So we actually collect. There is yeast in the air around us, and so we take water and flour and set it out and let yeast fall into it, and we make bread out of that yeast. My senior level students do that every year, and that's you know there's different yeast everywhere. That's why you know San Francisco is known for their sourdough bread because of the specific kind of yeast that grows around San Francisco. But you know there are what we call starters. So once you kind of start your bread and you have that yeast, you never use it all. You use a portion of it, you keep some of it, and you feed it and keep it growing.
My grandma used to do that.
Yes, yeah.
And they would share them at church too.
Exactly right. And the ladies would all do that and take care of it and nurse it. You know, you go back like even into the cattle drives where they were having bread with them. They would have a container, and he would have a sourdough that he would carry on the wagon that he's throwing a little flour in every day and growing it to make his biscuits with and stuff.
Yep.
So there's up in Alaska, probably in the United States, there's some really old starters that are over 100 years old in Alaska.
Wow.
That have been going for that long. But you go over into Europe, and there's some that are over 200 years old.
Wow.
That is the same starter that's been used time and time again, and they have never died. They've nursed it, taken care of it. So you have these unique tasting different breads. And
cool.
kind of the scientific part of it, and I've never really sat down with a doctor to say that, but I think a lot of the people today that are having problems with yeast, one are with wheat, wheat has changed. You know, we've crossbred them so much.
Right, we've had to modify it.
We've lost those heritage brands of wheat. I think that's part of it. But also, if you use a true sourdough yeast, that yeast, the natural yeast, breaks down wheat differently than a super yeast that we use today to make bread with. The yeast we use for bread today came from brewer's yeast, and it was developed, and that's why you know it'll double in size in an hour, and then you punch it down and you know work with it, and let it double again, and then you put it in and bake it.
Right.
Well, before, when you work with true sourdoughs that are sourdoughs that you've caught out of the air, they have to rise overnight. It takes hours to get them to go. So they break down that wheat totally differently. And I think some of the people that have, you know, and like I said, I'm not a scientist or I haven't talked to doctors, but I really believe that if people were eating bread that was a true sourdough bread, that yeast breaks it down differently, and I think the wheat would affect them differently.
Well, that's quite possible.
It's
that is
a
quite
theory
possible.
that I have that because I know just me eating it, I don't. Sometimes you kind of when you eat bread, you get that. Oh gosh, you get that bloated feeling. With real sourdough, I don't get that, and that's one reason I think it. And they work differently. And some people will call sourdoughs. I'm taking up a lot of time here, but
You're okay.
They'll take a super yeast and leave it on the shelf where it will sour and it tastes like sourdough. But it's still a super yeast.
Still that super yeast.
It is not the natural yeast because you've made a basic sourdough out of it because you're leaving it on the shelf to get that flavor and to get that sour aroma that you get in it. But it still is that super yeast, so it's not a true sourdough. There's one floats around. His name's Herman. It's a starter that people share, and if you find Herman, you can go to Pinterest or Google it or whatever. You can get the recipe for Herman. But Herman is made with a super yeast, and then you use it as a sourdough.
Oh, okay.
But he starts off with that super yeast.
So not a true sourdough.
So it's not a true sourdough.
Well,
So
there you
that's
go.
kind of a little science stuff.
A little science.
Some of the basics we got off on baking.
Hey, well, we like science, so.
So you have a YouTube channel. When did you start your YouTube channel, and why did you start your YouTube channel?
The why question.
The why.
Crazy. Why did
yeah.
why did I do this? Almost 3.5 years ago. So I was watching videos, and some of my friends, if some of y'all are on that have seen my channel, I just did one with really one of the guys that I first started watching, a guy named T. Roy Cooks is his channel. He just went over 100,000 subscribers about a month ago. But I started watching Troy, 4 years ago. And him, a guy named Russ Jones out in Mississippi, his channel's Smoky Ribs, and a guy down in Corpus cooking with Surf and Sapo. Those three guys I was watching a lot, and I actually would use them in my classroom because they were barbecuing or doing this dish. And if the kids maybe finished some of the book work, we would watch videos on YouTube of some of these different cookers or barbecuers. And those were the first guys I was watching, and others. And I thought, man, I can do that. And some of the kids were like, hey, Chef, why don't you do that? And I thought, well, that'd be fun.
Okay.
So it was Valentine's Day 2015. I posted up, I think, 4 videos. I didn't want to have just one video.
Wow.
So I got 4 videos ready to go, and I put them all up that first day. And the first year, I was pretty diligent about putting them up weekly. I think out of 52 weeks, I had 40-something videos up.
Well, that's good. Yeah.
And so
nice.
Hit a little over 1,200 subscribers that first year. Stayed real consistent getting that done. And then the second year, I only put out like 20-something videos. Got busy doing other things, and I didn't put out that many, so I didn't see a lot of growth. And then really last June, a year ago, I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get serious about it. And I'm going to do one every week. So I rolled every week from June through October. And in October, I said I'm going to get real serious about it. And I started putting out 2 videos a week in October. So since last October, I've put out 2 videos every week except for maybe 3 or 4 weeks.
And did you always have the multiple angles? I've watched some of your newer videos, but not your older ones.
Well, I had, when I started out, was my iPhone and a little
there you go.
Canon Vixia, a $250 camera Libby bought for Christmas for me. And so I got that, and I was using those 2. And yeah, I'd try to zoom in. I'd try to you had to move the camera. I'd move the camera, do it again. So now, I'm up to 4 cameras. And they're running side, so I can just.
That's a lot
I don't
of
have all
editing, though.
It is. The
a lot of editing.
A lot hard with 4 cameras, and I have started to do something that's more that I've learned from TV people and stuff like that is don't leave a long clip. So where before, I would have one shot maybe of me talking for a while or the food for a while. Now it's about every 10 sequences is the longest you'll see a clip.
Switch to something else.
So I'm always switching angles because the mind stays active because it sees something different, and it will extend your watch time because people are going, oh, I'm not seeing the same thing, and even if you're not thinking that, your mind is moving and it's engaging, so your mind stays in action with the video. So usually anywhere from 4 to 10 seconds, I'm going to a different camera angle of what's going on, or I'm zooming or I'm widening. So I may stay on the same camera, but zoom in.
Zoom in.
But that's less than 10 seconds is what I try to do. I put out a real long video. Actually came out yesterday, but that one, came out this morning. But it was up at Troy's house, and we cooked all day. And I wasn't able to do that because I didn't have multiple cameras going. So some of it was just one camera shot.
Right.
But other than that video, for the last few months, I've really been trying to do those 10 seconds or shorter shots, moving from camera to camera. But yeah, it does make a lot more editing.
I would imagine because you even have to sync up the audio with that.
Right.
And that's that
That seems like a
difficult.
lot, because it's nice when I help him do, because he's doing the Tex-Mex videos now where he shows off the technology. So we have the 2 cameras in here, so I can put one in front of him to show him, and then one angle down so that you can see whatever product he's talking about. And then when we go to install it somewhere in the house, we just use our phones, and then he just has to edit a couple of things together. It's not trying to search through 4 cameras of
luckily
information.
when we can do Tex-Mex, we kind of use the same setup because we actually record from the live stream software that we have.
So it works good that way.
And it works good that way.
I just got a overhead camera. So now,
oh, see, that'll be great.
When you see taste in some of those where you're looking straight down at the cutting boards, that's a view that people like. They like that view. And so I actually on my I do most everything in the outdoor kitchen. Some stuff in the house, but mainly my outdoor kitchen. And I rigged out. I went and bought some pipe at Lowe's. And it's galvanized 3/4 inch pipe, so it's rigid and the cameras won't bounce.
Yeah.
So I have that pipe, and now I have a camera. Yesterday was my first recording with it to do that. So Tuesday you'll see my first video that there's a straight down shot mixed in with the angles coming in. And I think that's going to be a good angle for me.
I like seeing the different angles because I like to watch the videos and then try to cook it, or sometimes if I feel like I'm a little confident. I don't want any of those Pinterest fails and be like, oh, look, I tried to cook what? Never mind. Don't look at that. That's terrible.
Roundhouse Ranch Barbecue says editing can fix a lot. LOL.
yes, you can. You know, it's amazing. I don't screw up any cooks at all. Everything comes out.
Everything comes out perfect.
One of the amazing things that I saw, and I saw it today again, is the Texas nacho burger that you made with the chorizo, with the homemade. It was homemade chorizo.
Yes.
And was it hamburger meat?
Hamburger.
Mixed together.
Stop looking at me. Why are you looking at me? I'm not making that. Do you see him looking at me?
And
he's looking at me.
And guacamole. And beans.
I see you looking at me.
Cheese.
You want me to watch that video and try it?
And so,
can I cheat and not make my own chorizo?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, run down, get your favorite one.
And just go to HEB.
Chorizo is so neat, and it is so culturally here in San Antonio and throughout South Texas. So when I started to do that burger, I was just going to do a hamburger and basically build nachos on top of a hamburger. And then I started thinking, you know what? Chorizo would be really good mixed in with that. So it's 1/4. So I had 1.5 pounds of hamburger and a 1/2 pound of chorizo, and made them together and mixed them well and put the patties together with the chorizo, and then the chips. And instead of using like mustard or mayo, I use guacamole. So it has guacamole on the bun, and it's actually got guacamole on top of the patty because I wanted the chips to stick.
Yes.
So I used guacamole there, and then started building up above that to make the.
I guess I know what video I'm watching next.
Well, and that was the video that I was going to show before my computer broke.
Well, we'll put a link to it in the description so that people
I cut it down to like just under 4 minutes, and to show that, and I went through the whole thing, but it was, oh man. I mean, that was just making my mouth water.
Got a lot of good comments off that one.
Yeah.
A lot of nice comments.
Yeah, I really like that one. But I was going to ask you, if somebody were to do, since we're geeks, and we're saying, hey, we'd like you to cater, but we want to do something geeky, maybe having to do with like the Avengers or the Hulk or something. What's kind of something you come up with that...
Thinking about that, of what to do, and so superheroes. We were thinking about that. Captain America was always one as a kid. Was one that I always watched, and I think a burger would work great with Captain America. And there's different ways you can do it. We kind of talked a little bit about using a portobello mushroom, but they're gray, so gray doesn't fit that idea. Which I do love to grill portobellos and put them on. I don't do a straight vegan burger. I put them on top of a beef patty.
That's right. That's what I would do.
Works good that way. But what I was thinking too is do an open face burger, and then you could add some blue food coloring to your mayo, and do you know, you could do a star in the middle out of white mayo with the blue around it, and then take ketchup rings and make it look like the shield, right?
Yeah,
Make it
that's
look
good.
like the shield, and then you could have your burger and everything together, but serve it as an open burger where the top was your mayo and ketchup.
Wow.
That was gonna.
I like that.
They'll get close now. So that would be one thing you could do there. I think that'd be kind of a cool burger. I like to make
That
different
would be
burgers,
really
that'd
cool.
a fun
That would
burger.
be cool.
And because I know we've been talking about it before to do a cooking collaboration sometime.
Yes.
Which I would
yes.
love to be able to do that. I was like,
But
'cause
he can't cook.
I can
That's all right.
I can grill.
I can work with the best of them.
I can grill.
He can make spam. Maybe if you could do something with
I
spam.
can make
What?
I can make turkey.
I would. This is no lie. I would. My family doesn't eat spam. My wife didn't like spam, and so she never would let the kids eat it. But me, hey, I grew up on fried spam. Mom was like, "We're having fried spam sandwiches today, kids," or
Yeah.
you know, cabbage and spam. You know, I mean, there was a lot of things that we had with it, and I'm always it's pork shoulder and ham. Didn't bother me to eat, but that corned beef hash out of the can. You know, corned beef. Make some pan fried potatoes. Put those in there. My son won't touch it, but my daughter loves it. She would eat it at my mom's house, and mom would. Every once I go to mom's, mom, maybe some corned beef. You know, but it was the old can. Some people think that's gross, but you know, when you were kids and you know, my mom was a depression child. My dad,
Yep.
Mama was born in the early 20s. So, you know, they understood hard times. And, of course, when I was young, too, people were still eating a lot of canned hams. You know, people go and buy it. You don't really see people doing that anymore.
Yeah.
But in the 60s
pull it
and
on.
early 70s, you know, you'd get that key. You know, you'd put it
Oh,
in
yes, I remember the key.
You'd have to
And
turn
then
it.
the gelatinous film.
It would roll up the metal as it took it off the can to pull the top off. Well, spam was the same way back then. So it was all
That
of
could
them
be
had that key
spam.
on
Could
it.
be the gelatinous cube. There's a game called Dungeons and Dragons, and there's a monster in there that's like a gelatinous cube. So if you were having a Dungeons and Dragons party, you could just like
You know,
some
I
spam.
saw I'm trying to remember the one of the shows the other day, and I wish I would have looked at it more. And then on this discussion of type of superheroes or type deal is what was it was the big computer game that everybody was playing here like a few years ago, World of Warcraft.
Yes.
Oh, yeah?
Wow.
Uh-huh.
There
Yeah.
is Barnes and Nobles has a World of Warcraft cookbook.
Oh, they have lots of different. I have a Hunger
Yeah.
Games cookbook, and I have a True Blood cookbook. They do come out with a lot of cookbooks.
So it was my son was going. Hey, I remember that. I guess there was things in there that,
Yeah.
and he was looking through these different things because it's something he had played when he was younger.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's really cool. It's really cool. I can't wait. So you also spoke about students. So where do you teach? And you're teaching culinary arts, right?
Yes. One of the local high schools here. I teach culinary arts at McCullum High School, and been there 10 years teaching. And I'm also an adjunct professor at St. Philip's College at their culinary program.
Oh wow! And they have one of the bigger ones here.
Oh, I didn't
San
realize
Antonio.
St. Philip's had a culinary
St.
program.
Philip's, you know, when I went to St. Philip's, I didn't realize it, and I didn't realize how good it was. It is always in the in some of the top ranked in the nation. As
That's
far as
good,
culinary
because I know
schools,
some
yeah.
students who want to go, and I really thought that the Art Institute was really the only place, and they're very pricey.
Oh yeah, and so is the Pearl. You know, if you go down to the Culinary
Yeah.
Institute now, are you going to get a great education at the Culinary Institute? Yeah, but it's $64,000.
Yeah. And if you can go to St. Philip's, you can afford that.
For a few $1,000. And
Yeah.
St. Philip's has a wonderful program there. It's been there for years and years. Chef Will has been there since '84. He's now the
okay.
department head there, and he's taught a lot of chefs at San Antonio how to cook.
Oh,
I mean, you can't
nice.
imagine how many Chef Will has actually taught. He's definitely a stalwart of Texas or San Antonio cooking of what he's done. But not that the others won't give you a great education, but that is an affordable one for a lot of the kids that I teach and kids that we know.
Yeah,
that,
to kids that we teach.
that, you know, that even though you can get some grants, those are great because you don't have to pay those back. But you know, as far as kids getting student loans, you know, and when you're 18 and you go, okay, I'm gonna get a student loan for $64,000
to be a chef
to be a chef, and then you go, man, I don't like being a chef. This is a lot of work.
Yeah.
You know, by the time you're through, by the time you're 20, A lot of kids at AT&T really don't know.
Yeah.
You know, so hey, go to St. Philip's, work on your associate's degree, take those classes, and you know, you spent, you know, $8,000.
Like 8,000, yeah.
You know, that you've spent over a couple of years, and then if you go, no, I really don't like this, and, you know, expand that associate's degree onto a bachelor's degree of something else or whatever else you want to do.
Well, what I really wish they would do, and what Vincent and I have talked on the show about before, and maybe you've seen this too, is everybody thinks that kids nowadays know how to use technology. They do to an extent, but I don't see them going on YouTube and looking for your channel and then trying to practice and trying to follow the steps of what you've done to try to make it. They don't seem to have that connection of YouTube shows me how to make these things. They find these silly videos of like, YouTube shows me how to make toast. And then they watch that and it's haha, it's funny. It does.
Ramen. Well, you know, go Google ramen on YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean, you would not believe, you know, the survival guide for college kids, you know.
Yeah.
If you can make ramen, you can. There was one of them, there was a video of ramen. It's got like 1 million views. I don't know why I didn't think of it. But the guy was doing like spaghetti with garlic bread.
Yep.
And he cooked ramen. And then he got like a Hot Pocket or something like that was the other issue of it. And he basically scraped the Italian part off of the bread, put it in with the ramen, and he goes, oh, there's my spaghetti and garlic toast.
Yep.
You know, because he had 2 little pieces of toast that were in whatever's, you know, whatever the meal was.
That's actually.
Yeah, it's like 1 million views on that video. You know,
I mean, growing up, or even when we first got married, we didn't have a whole lot of money, and we had to be creative with what we had.
Sure. Yes.
Oh, I can turn ramen into lots of different things.
Yeah.
We can have cheesy ramen. We can have ramen that's spaghetti. I can add ramen with like a little bit of meat and some vegetables, and it's stir fry all of a sudden, or it's like lo mein. I mean, you can turn ramen fideo.
I don't know about you, but
Yeah.
we consumed a lot of fideo growing up. You know, without a doubt.
Do you ever do any of that stuff, like a chopped kind of like challenge for yourself? Like, oh, I have all these weird things. What can I make?
You know what? My wife, she makes fun of me, and the kids are like, you remember when Dad would? Because I'd go open up the refrigerator and go, what can we make? You know, and I'd start pulling out leftovers, and you know, we'd do a soup or something. And sometimes it was good, and sometimes it was food.
Sometimes you ate it. That's right.
Sometimes it filled you up, you know. And there were sometimes they go, Dad, don't try that one again, okay? That didn't come out
It's
right.
not good. It's not good.
So you kind of have that, but
So
yeah,
what are some of the things that you thought was going to be really good, but didn't quite come out came out bad?
Yeah.
My kids still remember, and I don't even remember it, but they bring it up to this day. Apparently, I was trying to get us to eat healthier, I don't know, like maybe 6 years ago or something, because I always go through these cycles where we're eating healthy. And I tried to make some kind of eggplant soup. And they were like, I don't know, it was gritty, and the seeds were weird in it, and you kept telling us it was good, and we could tell on your face that you knew it was not good. And you kept trying to make us eat it because it had all these ingredients in it that you had paid for. So, I mean, yeah. Sometimes I try to do those chopped things too, so I get it. I think people would like to watch those videos. Maybe we should do like some epic fails.
Epic fails.
Here's something that was not good. Yeah, you know, how do you make those things fit together? You know, so my daughter watches Chopped all the time. She loves it, and so you know, she'll get on there and she'll this and so she'll go, hey Dad, let's try, and I'm going like, babe, those things really. They don't go together.
Those do not go together.
I'm not sure if on TV they went together either. I think they were just playing like they went together. I'm not real sure that.
That was all for television.
One weird ingredient in there.
I used to do a 5-ingredient challenge with the kids. That's from Roundhouse Ranch Barbecue.
Well, you know, and I know. There's there are some. Gosh, I don't remember if it was that they have that five people. You know, 5 people. 5 ingredients, not 5 people.
Yeah.
They'll say. You can only use this many ingredients. I want to say there's a YouTube channel that does that.
Wow. They do it on Guys Grocery Games on the Food Network, where it's like you can only use 5 ingredients, or on his you can only go down the frozen food aisle, this one frozen food aisle, and you can only pick things from there, and it's like really random stuff or something. So, have you ever done any challenge things like that on your channel?
No, not.
You
not
just
on
do
the-
like
not on the
seriously
channel.
good
Yeah,
cooking.
You know, like Roundhouse Ranch said a while ago. You know, editing makes everything really good. Yeah, pretty much just teaching. You know, because that's what I am. So, mine is here's how you do this dish. Here's how you do that dish. And I break it down even. Here's how you dice an onion. Here's how you chop up a bell pepper. How do you cut up a chicken? You know, so I have some of those kind of what I'll call my chef type videos on there where people can go and say, hey, you know, if I need to fry a chicken, how do I cut it into 8 pieces?
Right.
You know, or
Right.
how to truss a chicken. So I've showed people how to take butcher's twine and truss it up for bakings where it's a nice tight package. So it'll cook evenly with the wings.
Well, I saw you with the chicken breast that had the shrimp and the pico de gallo in it, and you were pounding it with your palm. And I was like, that's inventive. I've never seen that one before.
You know,
Maybe when you have big hands like
when you can really, you know, it works pretty good. And I had left my meat hammer in the house. I was like, I'm not going to go get it. 'Cause I've done that too
That's
many
even what
times.
you said on the video. He was like, I left it in the house. I'm not getting it. See my hand? Bam! I was like, oh, God.
People use pans, you know,
Yeah.
hammers. You know,
So my
go down
mom
the
used to
list
use was
of all
the
the
pan.
different things you can use. But yeah, I got a big paw, so it works out pretty good. So
But
we
I
gotta
liked
flatten
that
it
you were
out.
showing people like how to trim the fat and stuff.
Try to get that done. Some of my in that, you know, you have to kind of go back to see some of the how to, you know, I did the chicken and the how to do an onion and some of those way back. But I use those in school also.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is we have something now that's called Google Classroom. So
Yep.
know
Yeah,
you know
I
what
do
it
too.
is.
Yeah.
People out there may not know what Google Classroom
Yeah.
is, but it's great, and the kids can go home and watch videos or take lessons.
Yep.
So their homework is online. And so I'll take my videos and put a link to them into Google Classroom.
Great. Great.
So I'll say, hey, we're going to be doing this, this, and this tomorrow. I want you to go home and watch these videos. So they have to watch the video. I can see who actually watched it. They have to make comments on it, about it.
Wow.
And so I go, okay, they watched it. They made some comments. And then I'll put a little short quiz afterwards, like 10 questions.
Nice.
And so that just tells me that they saw it. So they get a check for that, and then they take the little quiz and get points for that. So
That's good. And that kind of sets them up for college, too. That's kind of the way college is going a lot, too, is these hybrid kind of online classes where you
there's
do
a lot of online classes.
a lot of that. Yeah. So that's a
St.
good.
Philip's, you know, a lot of the, you know, intro to foods is totally online now.
Yeah.
You can take your safety and sanitation class totally online, other than coming in and taking your exam for the your certification. You have to take your
and
certification in front of a proctor.
Sanitation is so
Yeah.
important. I always see kids like trying to touch meat and then touch it. I'm like, stop, don't touch that. Stop touching
So
the
for
mixing.
barbecue, what's your most important tip for barbecue?
Eat it all.
Oh, fire. You know,
Fire,
when you're,
yeah.
when you're
Fire
dealing
good.
with the fire, is learn how to control your fire. And you don't have to have a real expensive pit. Like, I can remember when we were young married, and I mean, we were talking about that a while ago, what we ate, but we bought a Weber kettle at the flea market.
We did too.
And so I had this Weber kettle we would cook on, and we used it until the legs came off. You know, those
Yep.
little
Yep.
aluminum legs broke all the time.
We had the same thing.
So it broke, and you're like, gosh, I can't afford another one. So I had an old wheel at the house. So that wheel, that Weber kettle would fit right inside that old rim, tire rim, you know. So we would take that rim with us if we went to the beach or something, and lay the rim down, put the Weber kettle in it, and it wouldn't roll on you.
Nice.
So we were still using our Weber kettle, you know, at that. So whatever you have, learn how to properly maintain the fire in it, so that you don't get that too hot or too low a fire. And that would be the main thing. When you start wanting to do barbecue, is figure out how to work the fire. And once you figured out how to work the fire, you can do so many different things. And so many different cookers will do so many different things. You know, I picked up a Weber Performer, which is basically a kettle mounted into a table.
Right.
And I bought it off Craigslist, used, you know, and I got it for less than half price of a new one. And this one had the Weber cover, and it had been on a covered porch.
Wow.
So I found it on Craigslist. I drove over, you know, to Shirts, picked it up at Shirts, you know, and it was probably a Performer's $400, the $50 for the cover, and I got it for $200.
Nice.
But I mean, you can buy a Weber kettle for $100.
Yeah.
And But you can do so many things with that if you just learn how to. You can cook slow, put the fire on one side, you've got your meat on the other, and you learn how to regulate. But so regulating your temperature, that's the number one thing. And my niece had a barbecue pit. She was having a hard time. She wanted to do a brisket, was having a real hard time maintaining the heat and the fire and stuff. So what she did, what I told her was here, I've got some fire bricks. So I had an old fireplace we had tore down, and I gave her about a half dozen bricks. So in this cheaper offset smoker that had thin metal, because the thin metal doesn't hold heat well, like a more expensive thick quarter-inch steel. These had those. You go buy some at HEB or Academy. Some of those are real thin. So she put a half a dozen fire bricks in the bottom. Well, now those fire bricks hold heat. So it helped her to even her temperature out, and she's doing a lot of good cooks on it now because she has something that help even that heat out. So some people use sand, different things you can use in there that will help you hold that heat in a cheaper pit. There's things you do into a cheaper pit to make it work better. That doesn't cost you much money at all. I mean, you could go buy, for a couple of dollars a piece, buy you some bricks. Some of them you look at, gosh, there's smoke coming out everywhere. It should be coming out the smokestack. If you go to the AutoZone, and I guess this would be a geeky tip here, right? But if you go to AutoZone, they sell the black, it's called Permatex for like sealing between parts and stuff. It's a high heat, like on the valve covers and things like that. Well, they sell some that's in actually a caulking tube, for bigger amounts. And I've taken that and put it around my door of my pits, and then you spray cooking Pam spray, right? Cooking spray on the pit itself. When you close the door, that will not stick because of the oil to your pit, and you just let it harden. And when you lift it up, you have a gasket all the way around that door.
Wow!
And now when you close that cheap door that was leaking, guess what? No smoke coming out. And you've spent $6-7 on a tube of caulk to seal off the door of your pit so you're not losing heat out the door.
Interesting.
Science.
Interesting.
So you have, done things like that. So there's a lot of things you can do, but whatever pit you have, try to learn how to regulate it and don't do too much. Don't learn how to do too much at one time,
What is your advice for a cooking YouTuber first coming to start their channel? Yeah.
Do it. The thing, I think so many people are scared to start.
Yeah.
The thing about YouTube is this: if there's something you enjoy doing, there's other people that enjoy it also.
Yep.
So you do that, and there's going to be people watching. If you've got an iPhone, an iMovie can get you started.
Yep.
Research your recipes, know what you're doing, understand, because you're becoming an authority to the people that watch you.
Yeah.
So you need to know what you're doing. So study your recipe, know what you're going to do, have everything laid out so you're not hunting everything. You're like, oh, where did I put that salt? I didn't get it. So, I try to have all my ingredients, everything ready to go I need. And then start. And except for, the meat hammer.
Except for the meat hammer. That's okay. It happens.
I had one handy attached.
This is my meat hammer.
The main thing is start. You just do it.
Yeah.
Do it and, make a video
And you don't need the best equipment.
No. I mean, darn near every kid out there today's got an iPhone.
Got some kind of smartphone.
And I tell you what, I have friends that have pretty big channels. I mean, that are still operating off of an iPhone, and that's it, and iMovies.
Wow.
I mean, there's one guy. He's got a channel about the same size as mine, and he still just uses his iPhone.
Really?
That and iMovie.
Well, and I think it becomes, and what kids don't realize nowadays as we're moving forward, is it becomes a good resume for you.
Oh, sure.
If you have your YouTube channel and you show, hey, I have my YouTube channel and every week I cook, and now I want to go be a chef somewhere at a restaurant or go work in a bakery or something, hey, here's my resume, look.
I tell my students, I tell my high school students and my college students, you need to start a YouTube channel. And my college kids, I'm like, hey, y'all need to document going through culinary school.
Yeah.
Why not? Why wouldn't you do that? Go back home and prepare one of the dishes you did that week and have, because we may not always have video of the class, but we've got still pictures of what's going on in class.
Yeah.
So they can go, hey, here's this I did at home, but here's what I did at school. That way they can, you know, I mean, I think that's cool. I'd tell all my kids, start a YouTube channel.
Yep.
You know, if it's not going to be food, find something. My son is working now on starting a guitar channel. So he wants to do, he's a wonderful guitar player. He's getting a degree in jazz guitar. And he's getting ready, and we're fixing, that's why, you know, with Eric from our YouTube meetups group, he's going to get with him so we can understand some of the sound better for music. And, you know, and reach out to people.
Yes,
you
network.
Know, the YouTube people I have found, I don't know any of them that are just jerks. I've heard a few of a few that people, oh, that guy's a jerk. I mean, but even, you know, big channels. You know, I watch Ballistic Barbecue. He's 230,000, and Greg will sit with me on the phone and go, "Hey, let's, you know, that didn't look too good. Why don't you try changing this? This will help you." You know, Russ Jones, Smoky Ribs out in Mississippi, 130, 140,000. Hey, you know, what about this? Or, hey, I loved your recipe. Can I use it? You know, so those guys are, man, they're giving advice, they're helping. And then there's channels in one of the groups I'm in that's Facebook group. It's YouTube Cooks is the name of it. And, you know, those guys are, you know, how can I help? How can I help you? You know, the collaborations. You know, get with somebody. And don't be scared, you know, to ask. And once you get big, don't forget to reach down.
To return.
And most of the people that I know and I've dealt with are that way. You know, Troy, I went up there for T-Roy Cooks last week. He's over 100,000. You know, I've been watching him. We'd never met in person. James from Aimum and Claimum Smokers was there. Never met him in person. We've been on Google Hangouts together. And, you know, we'll get there. Sometimes we get there and we BS. Sometimes we get there and we talk about serious stuff. How do I do this? How do I do that? And, you know, we've talked on the phone. We've texted. And the three of now, they have been together many times. Right. But it's the first time I was ever there with them. And, you know, it was kind of like hanging out with old friends because I've been doing it for so long. But don't be scared to reach out to other people and ask for help. And there are groups, you know, like the YouTube meetup groups. When I had a class on Wednesday night, so I could never go. And so last semester I didn't have a class, so I was able to go. And right off the bat, you know, I found the group. I got up there, and you know, there's been a lot of neat stuff that's there. And some of the guys, you know, you look at their channel and you're going, well, you only got a couple hundred people following you, but there's things they know that they may not have a big channel, but they're like, they know stuff about cameras and they know stuff about sound and they know stuff, you know, about editing. Or, you know, or bringing in music, so they have all these other talents. Maybe their channel's not huge, but that don't mean they have a lot to add, and you can learn from. So I've learned a lot in the technical aspect at that group that I would not have learned otherwise.
If you don't know about it, it's SA YouTube Create. It's every Wednesday at 7 p.m. at Geekdom. So you can go on there, and we're more than happy to have you come in, and sometimes Chef will be there if he's not busy. And he even gives us a lot of help, even for the last one at TubeBuddy, which is really cool.
TubeBuddy's a good deal. And for people that haven't heard of that, it helps you run your YouTube channel, and it gives you basically advice on words, on, you know, different things to put in, and it monitors stuff and compares stuff. But it's a Chrome browser add-on that works great.
Yeah, really cool. Well, Chef, I really appreciate you coming here. I've been waiting for this to happen for a long time. I'm finally glad we got you in. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait to have some of your food one of these days. We got to go down.
Well, you're going to have to go cook together.
Yes, that'll be awesome.
Downtown Lytle, that's where you can find me.
There you go.
And then Texas-style barbecue and cuisines on YouTube. My catering and my other one in my stand are Texas-style cuisine. So
very nice.
Very nice.
And we'll leave that down in the description. But Chef, thanks for coming. I'm Vince.
I'm Colleen, and that's Stewart, and this is Chef Johnny
Stewart. I'm Stewart also.
Geek Out SA.
First Stewart.
Did I say Chef Johnny?
Yes, you did. I'm Stewart also. We got two Stewarts.